Yeah, good evening. My name is Samson Arawale. I'm a doctoral student of American Public Universities. I'm in the Global Security Program. The paper I'm going to present this evening was an abstraction of a paper that I presented at the SSGS 711 class, uh, Psychology of Actors in Global Environments. And the title of the paper is An African Foreign Policy Evolution, a Nigerian Case Study. See, this paper summarizes African policy objectives in general, using Nigeria as a case study. Abstract. Nigeria's history of development and foreign policy evolution since independence was plagued with confusion, internal governance challenges, and continuous intervention and disruption by external global players. These factors seem to force Nigerian leaders to assume a posture of non-participatory in global governance, or worse still, focus on assistance rather than partnership. Paper breakdowns. The Nigerian foreign policy evolution in this paper was broken into two parts, spanning the independence period to the year 2011. The first part were the foreign policy objectives from the turbulent time of independence in 1960 to the year 1999. This period was marked by incessant military regimes and coups. Nigeria also experienced a 3-year civil war at the same period. The second part was at the year 1999 to 2011. See, the year 1999, there was a remarkable year in the life of the country. It was the year that marked the dawn of democratic resurgence in Nigeria, in which the then president, Olusegun Obasanjo, quickly took opportunity to reinvent Nigeria in the global space and governance. Introduction. You see, several authors have written about Nigeria's foreign policy evolution since independence to the present. Some authors see the journey as purposeless, confused, and without focus, while others were able to break the journey into various activities with facts within each period, ending on a positive note. Atapine is one of the authors that I looked at. In Atapine's paper, Nigeria Foreign Policy, 1960 to 2011, 51 years of conceptual confusion broke the Nigerian foreign policy journey into four phases. The first one was dynamic foreign policy. The second one was Africa as the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. The third one was economic diplomacy. And the last one is citizens diplomacy. Dynamic foreign policy. The idea of dynamism was first coined by the then Prime Minister, Alhaji Tafawa Balewa. Immediately he declared this idea of dynamic foreign policy. It became a barometer with which other successive foreign governments were measured. So for successful government, for instance, it is either your foreign policy is conservative or dynamic. So the Tafawa Balewa, Yakubu Gowon, and Shehu Shagari government or policies are seen as conservatives, while the Muritala Mohammed Obasanjo and Obasanjo Yaradua foreign policies are deemed dynamic. Africa as the center of Nigeria's foreign policy. The phrase Africa as the center of Nigeria's foreign policy was coined by the then External Affairs Minister, Professor Adebayo Adediji. And the objective then was to emphasize the diplomatic focus of Nigeria on liberating other African nations that are still groping under the stranglehold of colonialism. Within this foreign policy objective, Nigeria got involved in the decolonization struggles in Angola, Mozambique, Namibia, and the anti-apartheid South Africa. In addition, this foreign policy objective led to the creation of several organizations one of them being the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Economic diplomacy. The concept of economic diplomacy was introduced by the Ibrahim Babangida administration and inspired by the economic pressure exerted on the Nigerian economy on the introduction of structural adjustment program at the behest of World Bank. The idea behind the program was the promotion of export trade, investment, and increased financial assistance from friendly countries. During this time, local Nigerian fabrics, agricultural products, and other domestic products gained added values and became exportable and interactions in the markets of London. Citizens diplomacy. This foreign policy thrust was embarked upon by the Olusegun Obasanjo regime. Its focus was on Nigerian citizens as the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. Through this medium, Nigeria was able to harness the resources and potentials of our citizens in diaspora. Nigeria was also able to engage in the doctrine of reciprocity with host nations. Nigeria created an enabling environment for our citizens to prosper and engage on broader issues of human importance at both national and international level. Now, to switch gear to the second part, the foreign policy objectives from 1999 to 2011. See, the foreign policy objective from that year, 1999 to 2011, was influenced more by domestic considerations rather than the wider regional and continental pursuits of the previous foreign policies. Another author, Abiodun Alao, in his paper Nigeria and the Global Powers, Continuity and Change in Policy Perceptions, reviewed the foreign policy journey from four perspectives. First, he touched on central determinants of Nigeria's foreign policy since the return of democracy in 1999. He reviewed the country's relationship with traditional global powers like the USA, Britain, and Russia. He reviewed relationships with emerging powers like China, India, and Brazil. He further reviewed relations with global organizations, given their connections with global powers and emerging powers. Finally, he concluded with forward-looking posture into the future, highlighting mishaps, mistakes, and emphasizing remarkable diplomatic feats gained along the line. Conclusion. Overall, the governance of Nigeria has oscillated between the military and the civilian rule, with its attendant changes in foreign policy objectives. See, for 39 years after independence, Nigeria continued to assume a near pariah status among world democratic countries because of the activities of previous military governments. But from 1999 to date, Nigeria turned a new corner in terms of foreign policy objectives, focusing on its national interest and entrenching democracy. It is recommended Nigeria should continue to seek out countries with which their interests align. Nigeria should endeavor to increase its balance of trade with key foreign partners. Relationship with China and other nations should be premised on partnership strategy instead of asking for assistance, taking the cue from the Israel-USA relationship. Nigeria should embrace intellectual ideology where our strengths and weaknesses are analyzed with a view for attaining future economic independence and a leadership in Africa. It is hoped that in the next 50 years, Nigeria will become the political and economic hub of Africa with excellent infrastructure and economic rapid innovation, good leadership, and a solid footprint in global governance. The race for strong nationalism and adoption of the old Russian Bolsheviks principles might be worth examining. Thank you.